Well, looks like today we're going to be changing the grip on a high capa. So this is Sam from our club, and he doesn't want to change the grip himself, so I'm doing it for him. So I thought I'd make a quick video and showing people how to do it if it's not something they've done before, and a few things to watch out for when you are doing sort of like a grip change, and a few things to be aware of as well as we go. So we're just going to start by taking it apart as normal. Obviously this isn't a stock TM capa, this is lightly upgraded, we'll say. It's not upgraded to the max, but it is fairly upgraded. Obviously all I've done so far is take the slide off, pin in the bottom of the grip, just at the bottom, and then we're also going to undo the two screws on the side of the grip. So this is a TM base, so it's the easiest to upgrade from, so hopefully most of this will drop straight in. There would normally be a screw in there as well, but he's already lost that, so we'll just take the frame off. And obviously here you can see the sort of standard grip assembler. It's just got a different mag release and trigger in it. So this is your hammer spring housing. There's obviously a hammer spring cup and a pin in there that we're going to need, so we'll swap that over in a minute. You've got your sear spring, and then we have the mag release and the trigger. So normally you wouldn't have the button on the side of the mag release. That is more for aftermarket things, but to take the mag release out, it's very simple. Just get your sort of small flathead, push it in and twist counterclockwise 90 degrees. You can't unscrew it, but you'll feel it push and twist, and then you just push it out as if you're pressing it, and it'll fall out. And then you have trigger will come out then as well. So obviously that is the grip, basically totally disassembled. Now we're not going to need that anymore, but we are going to need the new grip. See, there's a few things you do need to check for when you are installing a new grip. The first and most important is that your trigger drops freely. Now, ideally, you want to be able to pull your trigger up and it to fall straight back down with no resistance. If it is having any resistance, or you can feel it getting caught, you're having to actually physically push in the trigger, then you are going to have to look at adjusting the trigger burr for that. Normally, especially on sort of a standard trigger burr, you're going to have to bend the trigger itself. So I don't know if I have one which it won't fit. This one might fit. That does also fit fine. Cowco grips are normally pretty good for fitting the trigger burrs. Are quite loose, but some grips like the Nova Staccato grips do need quite precise trigger fitting, depending on the trigger. Obviously you can, especially the standard burrs, you can just bend with your fingers. So sometimes you'll notice the trigger, sometimes the trigger isn't fully straightforward. It can be bent off to the side, especially after putting the pin in. You can see them bent off to the side, you can see them bent up and down. You can see the actual burr, this line sometimes here, along the edge here, isn't straight. It can be sort of, that kind of a shape. In that case, you have to sort of bend your bow up and try and get it back to shape, or just replace it for a new burr. But this is fine because it goes in and it drops freely, which is great because it means we don't have to do any work on that. Can chuck the mag release in, and that is also pressing without any resistance, which is great, which makes this job a lot easier, as it's going together fine straight away. We'll just screw his little extended paddle on. So we've got his little mag release paddle on, and we've also got the trigger in. Trigger still moving freely, which is great. We'll just put that to one side for a second. We'll just have a look at the hammer spring housing. Now, this can vary from grip to grip. And by vary, I mean the sort of the depth of this. If you're using a stock TM grip, the power of the hammer springs is what they're measured from. But if you then translate, that's just that in there. If you then translate across to a sort of an aluminium grip or a different grip, such as the capa or the Nova staccato grip or the Elite aluminium grip, you might notice that having a stock hammer spring will give you different results, as the actual depth of the hole that it's sitting in can vary from gun to gun, from grip to grip even. So putting this inside of the new grip, you might find that it's giving you sort of a harder hammer spring, or a softer hammer spring with the same one that came out of the gun. So you do have to account for that in your building. So you might on an occasion need a 120 spring, but on the others you might need a stock or a 140. That is something to very much be aware of. Something else I've just noticed on this one though is that around this edge is loads of burrs in the hammer spring housing. So we are quickly just going to get rid of those. I've just taken a Stanley blade and a bit of a gentle file just around this top edge, so that hopefully now that actually fits, which I've never actually seen before on a capa grip. But stuff like this does happen. Ooh. And also, wow, okay, so that is also something I've never seen before. The actual hole in the capa grip hasn't been punched out, which is excellent. I wonder if I'll just push out. Right, hopefully that'll fit now. I've never seen one of these so badly moulded. Normally they fit pretty much straight away, so if you that stage, you just push your thing in, I push it in from the side, and then it's in fine. Now it's always worth checking that does move up and down, which it does. Now you've got that built, which has taken a lot more effort than normal, and you can start basically reassembling your gun. So put your grip on, make sure that your sear, your disconnector even, is sat behind the trigger burr, as otherwise it won't shoot at all. You're going to want a 3mm Allen key for your grip screws. Chuck both of your grip screws in, then you can look at doing your sear spring. So I find the easiest way to do your sear spring is obviously you need to get your beaver tail up, make sure your trigger's all the way forward, and then your hammer is up like this. Pull your finger down and there you go, you can get straight in. Now if you hold the gun straight up, put the sear spring in, and then you can sort of pull it down, and then actually pull the sear spring down to go into the slot, and then you'll see that it's on top of the disconnector and it's also on top of the sear. Now just close your grip safety down, and then that will hold it all in place while you slide up your hammer spring housing, and hopefully if I put the right one on, it'll work. Excellent. Now all you need to do is chuck your magwell on if you have one, or your pin in your grip, and I'm going to need to punch that on. So got the magwell on, it's nice and secure, and then it's just a case of putting your slide back on. Now I'm just going to give this a quick clean and lubricate a bit of lubricant on it, because as you can see it is very dry, and I bet he's never oiled it since I built it for him. So let's give it a quick oil and then we'll finish up.